Hello everybody, my name is Nick Starwind and welcome once again to another dive into the depths of lost media, where this time we are revisiting one of our previous reviews and expanding upon it with a few new pieces to add to the mixture. So back in June 2020, I did a review on Thomas and the Magic Railroad after its work print was leaked onto the internet, and causing a downward spiral in the community that inevitably, as you all remember, led to many more leaks, including ones that led to the infamous Part 3 video, and putting a lot of people on thin ice within the fandom. In the first part of my video about the film, I mentioned that there was a 20th anniversary Blu-ray DVD being released, but had been delayed for different reasons, although in my view the obvious one was because of COVID-19 and not because the leak and how Britt Allcroft was going all Godzilla on the fans as many seem to have suggested. Well, the good news is that after a small delay, the Blu-ray was finally released in September 2020 to a large, but really small? Actually, it was a limited release to the US audiences only, once again excluding the country that the goddamn character was created in once again. Good job, guys. Way to be inclusive to UK fans. I know that Shining Time was a big deal for the US and wasn't really our thing because, well, we have standards, but come on, you're once again opening the floodgates to piracy, and even now you still can't get a copy of it without it being region locked to the States. And I did say that if you gave it a UK release, I would put my money on the table. But because you had no plans to do that, I had to magically obtain a copy for myself, thus bringing us to this enchanting sequel to this review. Now, this Blu-ray has plenty of features to celebrate the 20th anniversary of a failed film, but what I find more interesting is that some of the content heavily leans on the situation involving the work print, especially how in some features this is constantly referenced, showing either the general coincidence because of the importance of it being in the final film, or as the main selling point because the work print is now available after so long. Now, if you haven't seen the work print, then I can assure you that there are plenty of places to find it on the internet, as it's like a hydra, where each copy you take down, two more take its place. So if you're interested in that, then go nuts. But also, if you haven't seen my previous review on the subject, then please check it out in the links below to catch yourself up, and I will wait till you get back. Finished? Told you it didn't take that long. Oh, you watched both the work print and my review? Oh my god, you better take a nap because boy, you must be exhausted. Jesus Christ, people. But anyway, without further ado, let us dive once again into the Starwind Zone.
You're about to enter a new dimension. A dimension of lost media, lost memories, lost dreams, lost possibilities. The realm that excavates the forgotten antiques of time, with a man clearly unqualified to lead it. So grab your tickets and get comfortable, and ride the missing coach into the Starwind Zone.
Now, just before we go into this, I would like to highlight this clip first, as a lot of you brought this up after the Blu-ray came out. This was not going to be on the DVD in the first place. You have to understand that this DVD was just because it coincides with the 75th anniversary and not because certain parties campaigned for its special edition cut. It is just a throw out on the shelves while the party poppers go on. If anything, the most you'd be hopeful of is the behind the scenes from the German DVD and the already released deleted scenes from the previous DVDs. I will go on record and say right now that yes, there are a lot more features on this DVD than I previously expected, but I am still right about those particular points I made, so you won't get an apology. But you can still be right, even though we have established when I predict stuff it happens, so, be careful, wouldn't want me to predict anything else. So before we look at the special feature goodies awaiting us, let's begin by examining our feature presentation and see what is so special about this 20th anniversary edition. Short answer, not so much. And oh boy, will you not be pleased if you care. Question, What is the purpose of making an anniversary DVD of a movie that predates high-definition DVD technology? Exactly, to restore and upgrade the film to the best quality possible for the period it is being released in. But I'm sorry to say that this isn't the case with this version of Thomas and the Magic Railroad. So back in 2000, when the film was originally being distributed, there was a master copy made of the film, one in a 4:3 format for VHS and standard TVs, and one in 16:9 for DVDs and widescreen, while the original film was put away in storage, never to be seen again. Now it seems that this master is the only available copy of the film for distributors, which was used for the VHS, DVD, iTunes release, and finally with the anniversary Blu-ray, making them all the same film in quality, excluding a few alterations to the aspect ratio, like how the iTunes version is cropped, which was then taken over to the Blu-ray, where next to no changes were made except maybe some mild colour correction. In a nutshell, the film isn't the main reason to own the Blu-ray if you already have a DVD or digital version from the previous releases, because Sony or Shout Factory had no intention on rescanning the original celluloids and cleaning them up. Probably because they didn't see much of a turnover for this Blu-ray, which could explain its limited release, because why invest so much money into a failed movie where you may only get a small profit in return, compared to something much more successful like, I don't know, Spider-Man or something. I mean, if you don't really care and just wanted to own a copy because you're a fan, just overlook this part. But if you're really that bothered about standards of quality, like those 30 FPS versus 60 FPS snobs, then yeah, don't rely on this version being the superior one. So let's move on to the main reason everyone bought this Blu-ray in the first place, the special features. Let's first get the odds and ends out of the way, such as the trailers and behind the scenes, because these aren't really new pieces of information and have been available for many years. Much like the film itself on the Blu-ray, the trailers have a similar lack of effort when concerning the origin of where they were obtained, and rather than just accessing the archive from Sony or Brittlcroft, they instead went to everyone's favourite place, YouTube, and ripped it not only from probably the first video they found when typing in the trailer, but our very own unlikely fandom director, Brennon Carty, who owns an original reel of the trailer, which me and many other people have used when discussing the subject. And yes, I know the obvious about Carty not owning the rights to the film, but that is some serious lazy work. Even now I am cutting between the YouTube and Blu-ray versions of the trailer, and I bet you couldn't even tell the difference. Come the hell on, guys. Moving on to our next feature is the behind the scenes, which, again, much like before, this is just a direct rip from the German DVD, except with an intro title card and an outro credit, with no additional footage whatsoever and just the odd piece of music added in to make it look fresh. But again, if you've seen it already, not much here for you. However though, there is one feature which is new, and that is the raw footage of a fake interview with Thomas, which was probably going to be cut into sections for a large behind the scenes documentary, where he talks about the movie, its characters, and what audiences will be expecting from his adventure. Although the video quality footage is put alongside widescreen clips from the Blu-ray itself, which I kind of find a bit odd, but nevertheless it's a nice feature, unlike with their version of the work print. What am I talking about exactly? Well, the work print is titled Deleted Storylines, and it is 4 things. 1. It's pretty much the entire work print but with 20 minutes cut out. 2. It's a combination of animatics, work print, and the Blu-ray film. 3. The work print footage is the exact same footage leaked but zoomed in to cut off the timers. And 4. It's a total mess and isn't worth the effort in editing or your time watching. Who the hell is this for? It's bad enough that you didn't put any effort in the sourcing of all the previous stuff, but this is utter garbage because you could have easily just dumped the work print on here and left it at that and no one would have batted an eyelid. But not only didn't you do that, you attacked and criticised us for releasing what you had no intention of putting out in the first place. This makes the fan edits on YouTube look like they're in line for the next Oscars in editing. Jumping from grainy, washed-out VHS quality footage to full-fledged HD and cutting out scenes because you don't want to make it a full movie is so distracting. At least with others I've seen on YouTube, they have done their best to colour correct and sync them to make a complete piece. Heck, seeing as you ripped everything else from YouTube, you might as well just gone for broke and taken theirs too. They weren't going to do anything about it. If you're wanting to see a new version of the film, this isn't the version to watch. Just watch the original work print. Yes, its effects aren't complete and there isn't any music, but just put the soundtrack on the background and you will have a way better time than this. But enough about the lazy portion of the DVD. Let's take a look at the most important part of the entire anniversary Blu-ray, the exclusive interviews. Now, this is the part where I start being nice to Thomas and the Magic Railroad, so be warned, it may get weird. This is the only good thing about this Blu-ray, and it seems to be the one thing they put the most effort into. To celebrate the anniversary, Britt Allcroft, Alec Baldwin, Mara Wilson, Didi Conn, and composer Hummy Man were interviewed about their experiences in making the movie and also going into the production process of the film too, highlighting the pros and cons of the journey and especially making note of the work print and the issues that plagued it to the point it was cut up to make the film we all know and question. Britt Allcroft's interview is by far the most fascinating out of the 5, as it is split up into a 2-part documentary series called Returning to Shining Time. Part 1 details her childhood, early career, and the path that led her to not only obtaining the rights to the Railway series, but also in the development of the Shining Time show to bring it over to the States and beyond, leading into Part 2, which specifically centers around the development of the film itself and all the ups and downs that followed with it. These interviews contain lots of behind-the-scenes goodies that we have never seen before, all surfacing from the Britt Allcroft archives, including of course footage from the work print too, as Britt goes into detail about Doug Linux' role as P.T. Boomer and his inevitable cut. Which, in most of the interviews, that subject comes up quite a few times, making me think they were really saving this work print footage just for the topic of conversation and the main selling point of the Blu-ray, despite the god-awful edit. These interviews are very high quality compared to the rest of the DVD too, and it really goes all the way when it comes to the content it squeezes in to expand upon the story, including the behind the scenes interviews on the set with people like Peter Fonda and production stills from not only Thomas and the Magic Railroad, but also from season 5 of the series, considering they were both being created around the same time. Hearing these interviews really bring to light all sorts of issues that were brewing throughout the production from all sides of the crew. You've got Mara Wilson grieving over her mother's passing, and then you've got the constant stress on Britt Allcroft having to deal with producers and executives looming over the project all the time, which Alec Baldwin brought up, saying she would come on set being positive and directive and then walking off and practically pulling her hair out. And with this being a goddamn Thomas movie, they were really creating mountains out of molehills. Sadly, one of the downsides, but an understandable one however, is how some interviews had to be conducted in a different way due to the situation with COVID or just other reasons in general, as Didi Conn is done over what appears to be a Zoom call and Mara and Hummies are just their vocals, which is understandable, and due to the constraints, as it was most likely that they filmed Britt and Alex's interviews first in person, that they decide to rethink their strategy for how to go forward, which most likely led to the delay of the Blu-ray. Which is a shame really, but the fact they pursued with this instead of rushing it like the rest, you can at least commend them for it, and the insight we get from all different sides is absolutely amazing and well worth the viewing. But aside from that, there isn't really a lot else I can say about them, as I feel it would be much more appreciated if you watch these interviews yourself, especially if you're interested in the history behind not only the film, but the show itself. Although, I just want to point out one of the more amusing moments where Britt Allcroft attempts to do an impression of the Reverend W. Awdry.
And I said, Wilbert, has anyone ever talked to you about bringing these stories to life? And he said, oh, well, I think one time Andrew Lloyd Webber thought about it.
You can't do it.
Sorry, had to spoil something for you, but I assure you there are plenty of goodies throughout these interviews that you won't want to miss. But the main question after all this though is it worth buying? I don't know. The interviews are great and all with the fresh content and input, but it's only like 30% of the DVD, while the rest of it doesn't really add anything to the pile that you can't easily get either on YouTube or cheaper alternatives on eBay. As a whole collective, yes, it is a great Blu-ray, and if you've never owned a copy of the film and want something special for your collection, then by all means go for it. But if you are like many others in the fandom and have alternate versions of the film already and have a digital archive full of behind the scenes goodies, then don't bother unless you want something physical to show off to your friends. Heck, if you're outside the US and can't get a hold of a region-free copy, then I wouldn't bother at all in my opinion. Honestly, what is the point of contributing to distributors that essentially gatekeep which countries are allowed to receive certain products? I know it sounds petty, but I have a big issue with this since I first got into anime as a teen, where you had to buy specific DVD players to then hack into them just to play overpriced DVDs you had to ship over from the States, and not receive a UK box set until 10 years after its TV airing, while at the same time other countries not only getting releases on time, but also getting the best merchandise as well. Even now with streaming services and equal access of information and purchasing on the internet, we still have gatekeeping, leading to cheats that go around them like VPNs on multi-regional DVD players. Soon as this gets sorted, the sooner we won't have to do these shifty activities and making piracy such a problem. Honestly, why do I need to go through the back door to watch Thomas and the Magic Railroad? But anyway, tangent over. It honestly doesn't matter what I say. It seems that there is a ready available supply of this Blu-ray still on Amazon and eBay, so if you want to get a copy then get one. But I don't see this opening any doors for any new special edition Thomas DVDs in future. Companies like Mattel are putting all their interest in season 25 and won't be looking to the past anytime soon, sadly. But I will still keep my promise that if they make a UK release for this DVD, I will buy it. So watch this space. However though, this isn't where our story of Thomas and the Magic Railroad ends. Oh no! There is still another part to come involving its lost production from the depths of the Soda Island Forum archives. But for that, we've had to go back. Way back. So stay tuned. But aside from that, thank you as always for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed the sequel to what seems to be your favourite movie, despite me constantly being negative about it. Honestly, there are worse films out there, honest, I will get to them sometime. But not now. This film is awful. But as always though, my name is Nick Starwind, you have been my audience, and remember to like, share, subscribe, stick it on a badger, attach it to a brick, mail it to a bomb because you like a surprise, and also remember to spare some change, governor, by donating in the links below, and also make sure to check out my Instagram, Twitter, and all the other forms of social media that will be spammed in the description below. So until then, I shall see you next time.